Get your cocktails about the game script. A huge victory. We get on these streams and we put our heads together. Get your balls, put them on the table. We are live. Oh, yeah, we are live. Let's go, baby. Last call, Pub Sports Radio. You found it. You're at the right spot if you're trying to get that cash fired up and jacked up after last night's huge slate. We'll go through the recap. You guys know that's how we start off every show. Transparency is key, and it's an exciting one to go through. We'll give everybody an opportunity to file in. Appreciate those that are starting with me on time here. I know a lot of you guys are getting out of work, doing the thing, and trying to find a way to get that cash as well. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to jump in here as we give it the rundown, but I always want to give a shout out and start the show out with those that are in here ready to rock off the hop. There's my guy, Wine Time Sports. He likes the Wizards money line tonight. He's got the Bulls -1, Raptors +4.5, the Warriors on the money line, and the Rockets +4.5. We're going to touch on quite a few of those games, Wine Time. There's our guy, Sancho. Says, good luck, Perky. Moneybag Mike, let's go. Jay Smooth, my guy up in here, ready to rock with us as well. Andrew K, ready to hit the books and kick him in the face. Let's go here. Perky Sanderson, I knew it would. I think he's talking about something, and I'm catching up as we're going up the bottom of the chat. Neil Coleman says, Pimp, what up, Neil? Thanks for stopping in here. Appreciate you guys again. Take that time. Do me the favor. Hit the thumbs up button on the YouTube channel here. Make sure that you get that thumbs up and let them know we're out here rocking and rolling. I put the tweet out there on X. Please do me a favor, like that as well. Trying to share and promo. We want to keep this thing going. We need to keep growing, and I need your guys' help to do so. So if you're making money, if you're enjoying the show, please do me the favor, and let's get this thing into triple-digit thumbs up buttons here. We got almost 50 strong and ready to rock. Big night last night. We'll get into that, and then we'll kick off this card that we have tonight. So just a little college basketball action that I'll just kind of touch on at the end of the show. It was a pretty solid night in college hoops. So want to keep that running, but also want to measure and take the time to grow through the season as we start to get more analytics in place and see who these teams really are. We're going to start off today. We're going to talk about the NBA. It's a big NBA card. We're going to dive into the NHL. That's been and continues to be Daddy's little moneymaker. So we're going to run back on the NHL card, and then we'll hit it college football. There's 3 more MACtion games tonight, and college football has been shaping up pretty nicely for us. So we're going to try to keep it running and keep it going and try to continue to find success. And speaking of that, last night we did find that success. We had a tremendous night last night. It was 12-1 on the official show plays last night. So it ended up being an 11-unit day, a 12-1 record. Thank goodness I double dipped on that Arizona game, because the first play that I had was the Arizona under 6.5. That was the loss on the day. But jumping in last minute and adding Arizona, I was happy to see that adding something at the last minute this time paid us dividends. So kind of giving it the rundown. We hit that Nevada -13.5 spot. I know Billy talked about it. I had it written down. It was a great spot there to hit and take advantage of. We had the Iowa team total over 18.5. Pretty much any way you played Iowa, you won. Didn't matter if you played them in the first half, the full game. They just put boots to ass the entire game. You guys know I like to say that. And sure enough, Iowa got it done with that team total over 88.5. Michigan came through -10. Everybody was saying Michigan's in turmoil. There's a lot of things going on, but not your boy. We were on that Michigan -10 spot to clean up a nice little 3-0 college basketball day. On the hoops, or I'm sorry, on the gridiron there, we had Western Michigan in the first half. We had the 3-way Western Michigan spot there with the draw being in play, but draw it was not. Western Michigan handled business from really beginning to the entire halftime there and got that thing done for us comfortably. They went up 14 points before we even saw any action the other way. And how about that NIU spot with the team total under 28.5? 0 points out of them in the first quarter. Had to settle for a field goal at the end of first half to get a 10-point spot on the board. And that was really just that intersection between looking at how the other side should play. That game should be an under. Looking at the team total points on average in that 10-game sample I shared with you guys is the under, and it was just a comfortable casher. Arizona Coyotes, we talked about that one. That was the late night spot there that we were able to come through with. Under 6.5 did not cash. But in the NHL, we also cashed with the Calgary Flames. We cashed with the Winnipeg Jets. We cashed with the Minnesota Wild. We cashed with the New York Rangers. We cashed a parlay. The Carolina Hurricanes, Pittsburgh Penguins parlay was a plus 125 spot. Not as much juice as I wanted to see out of that thing, but it was still a positive unit spot. And then, of course, Tampa Bay, right from start to finish, got it done. Took a 4-0 lead. And I even got 5 goals in the net before anything came out of that Ottawa side of the house. So moving over to the lean category, keeping everything official. Another strong day over there as well. Tampa Bay over 6.5. Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. Didn't matter how you played that Tampa Bay game anyway, except for playing the other side of it, of course, with cashers out there. Tage Thompson did not get his 3.5 shots on goal. It was a little disappointing. The Rangers under 6 was a lean that did not come through. It was 5-0 for the longest time, and then we started seeing some pucks go in the net. We pushed the Calgary over 6. Pittsburgh in regulation spot cashed. Ball State plus 9.5 cashed. The NIU, the full game going under 44 in that college football game cashed. Ohio minus 7 cashed. Didn't matter if you had the hook on that either. 7.5 was fine. They still cashed easily and then comfortably. Buffalo, the U beat Bulls, and that stanky offense took an early lead, but did cash that under 44 for us. 2 college basketball leans that lost for us. Maryland minus 20.5. They won the game. I think the final was like a 15-point margin, so they couldn't get it done. And then North Texas, just disappointment there. That game was pretty much over as soon as the first tip hit off there. I mean, they had I want to say they had 75, 80 points in that first half, so we knew that wasn't going to cash. But, onward we go. It was a great day. Excited to give the recap. Hopefully they're all that way. And I'm going to start today's card and say, with a little bit of caution, let's not give it all back. It's very important that we maintain and build these bankrolls. It seems like forever we have a good day, a poor day, or not as strong a day, right? We have a good day, not a strong day, a good day, not a strong day. We don't want to give it back. We want to manage it appropriately. I still fired away in the NBA, and I was scratching my head thinking to myself, man, with just an NBA card today, it hasn't been so great for us. But I took a step back and I looked at the plays that we had on Friday. Was the last NBA day that kind of fell short for us. And, a couple 1-point spots, a couple of coin flips that could have gone the other way in overtime the other night that killed us. So we're hanging in there in the NBA. We just didn't get the breaks that we needed to get the victories there. And I'm thinking today's going to be a different story here. I'm excited about the spots that I have lined up for you guys in the NBA tonight. And I think you'll agree there's going to be some real good opportunities to get that cash. So you guys know, as always, please throw your plays in the chat. I'll do my best to shout them out as I see them out there. Want to make sure that, not only do we share the plays and the angles that I'm talking about here, but your guys' updates as well. It's very important that we all work together to dominate these books. And it starts with you guys taking the time in the chat to share your plays. Speaking of the chat, we'll go one more time around the horn, and then we're going to launch off into this card. Don Play says, right, it's all about money management. Absolutely. I mean, we play for fun, and there's some spots that we can have some fun on, but we want to make sure that we continue to build. And it's kind of one of those things where you want to take that breath and enjoy the moment, but every day is a new day. It's a sprint and a marathon. We got to do them both. We need to cash today, but we need to cash long-term as well. So Nunya plus 1.1 units on the day, but Auburn moneyline busted 2 whales that would have had him at plus 16 units yesterday. Hey, you know what? That's gambling, man. And the fact that you were still in the position to have a profitable day despite having 2 plays not go your way is what it is. And, you still found your way to the black. So that's what it's all about, Nunya. Justin M says stats, POD, baby. He's on Arizona State plus 3.5. The POD record, 94.95. But he likes that Arizona State. And there we go. We got a new member for 8 months now. Michael P. I'm not going to, is it Piccione? I'm sorry, man. I'm bad with pronouncing names on the fly. But shout out to you, my guy. Appreciate you stopping in here. Says, excellent job, Mike. Appreciate it, my dude. Thank you for dropping in. Nasty Nate, there he is, Mr. Trifecta with the triple clovers. I don't know about tonight. I'm sure we're going to be in a disagreement to start this NBA card off, but we'll fight it through together. We could still be friends at the end, and as long as my Sixers come out on top, that's all that matters, Nasty Nate. Big O says, Mike M, appreciate you, Big O. Thanks for dropping in. Director 97's here. That means we can get started. Director's in the house. Let's get her done. Kushgod312 says, Wemby threes ladder for me. It's interesting. I did actually take a last little cruise around and made a couple of Wemby. They're going to be leans here because I didn't have time to get them into the card, but I do want to get some action on that game. And then Alex Salazar says, LFG, appreciate the W. Hockey slate doubted you because the Sabres lost last time to the Flyers. When you had them, wish I would have split in $100. Yeah, well, hey, listen, you know what? They're not all winners. And hopefully they're not all losers either, but we'll figure out together what we're going to play tonight. Andrew Case's job well done, Mike. Appreciate it. LG, what's up? Loving the Panthers regulation money line plus 120. We're going to talk about that game as well. 7 o'clock comes right around the corner. So we got to make sure that we get rolling. But I see our guy Jay Peasy up in the house as well. Appreciate you, Jay Peasy, dropping in here. And there's my guy Tease. There he is, making the time to jump on the show. Appreciate you, Tease. Let's go. Let's see if we can't put our heads together and get this cash. Manny 47 loud says, only play that missed for me yesterday was the flyer. You know, it's funny is last minute I ended up jumping on the Sharks there. I was hanging out with a couple guys kind of backstage talking about some college basketball and trying to put our heads together. And I said, you know, just like I said in the show, you want to take the Flyers in a puck line spot here? Good for you, but I took them at plus 180, and that was a nice little extra spot there to pad the books at the end. Michael P. with the 1999 super sticker. My God, appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. That means a ton. You know, without you guys, we have absolutely nothing. The donos, the memberships, all of that stuff goes a long ways. It's recognized. We appreciate it. It means a ton that you guys come here and spend the time with me as well. We're triple digits in the chat now. Make sure you guys, please take that second. Let's hit that thumbs up button. Let's get it moving, and then we can turn ourselves forward and make sure that we get into this card. So take the second. Please hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up on the YouTube video. And we're going to jump in and get it rolling here. Leonard Porsche says, let's roll, Mike. I agree. Let's roll. We've done enough grab-assing around here, and it's time to get to the cash. So I appreciate all you guys, man. Smash that like button is right. First game up on the card. We're going to start in the association tonight on the hardwood. And there it is, the Nasty Nate special to kick this day off. And look, I wish I had more detail and emphasis on this game other than, listen, this is a team that hasn't not covered a spread all season. They're just firing bullets right now. We'll talk about the cash flow and the splits here. I'm just taking a second for this computer to load up. I don't know what's going on. Load, baby, load. There we go. Load. All right, we're rolling here. We are on our way. We got these numbers looking at a +1 opening. We're sitting at +3 in books right now for the 76ers. 37% of the bets and 44% of the cash on them Sixers. The total started at 228. It's still around 228. Do some line shopping. There's 227s and 228.5s out there, depending on the side you want to be on. 64% of the bets, 72% of the cash on that over. We're certainly not seeing a big emphasis or a big reaction from the books there. That number's kind of staying tight. As far as the money line, it's -116 opener. As the Celtics continue to get steamed, the number continues to climb. So 87% of the bets, 88% of the cash, and the money line for the Celtics has moved to a -142. You know, for me, this was, you know, not just a situation where the Sixers being kind of what I think is the better team right now. It's a bad scheduling spot when you look at it and kind of break it down for them Celtics here. You know, the Celtics are playing their, you know, 4th game on the road now. So they were in Brooklyn. They were in Minnesota. I did not write down where they were part of that, but now they're in Philadelphia. Tough scheduling situation. They're going to go back home on Saturday, but they've been on the road for essentially a week. Philadelphia, on the other hand, they're playing their 5th straight home game. So, you know, you got a home court advantage in the city of Philadelphia. It's the hot city factor. You know, right now the Eagles are kicking everybody's ass. You know, certainly in the Major League Baseball situation, the way things transpired there, this is a hot city factor for me. That home court advantage is going to be huge. Those fans are pumped up. If you've never been to a big city, when teams are winning and things get going, it becomes you know, contagious, and winning wants more winning. So you got this home court advantage with relentless fans. You got a rest advantage, not just from a time on the court, travel situation as well. Just a big spot for me when you look at the 76ers. Furthermore, you know, the Sixers, from a turnover perspective, are averaging the 6th lowest in turnovers in the NBA. They've only turned the ball over 13.2 times at home going back to the 2021 season. And on the other side of things, the Celtics are in a 13 turnover spot in terms of being on the road going back in that same spot, 8th lowest in the NBA. So, you know, without turnovers and quick pace points, it's going to be a tight game. I hope they get there and win the game just as a fan. But I think the 3, you're giving me basically more than one possession on this game to have the Sixers get the job done. And, you know, Celtics are going to have to show it to me because certainly haven't seen anything that really awe-inspires me to want to get in there and play that side of things. So, you know, I wanted to start with that game because it's obviously one that's near and dear to me. But we'll move on from it so that you guys don't have to hear me continue to talk about how great that city of Philadelphia is. I know Tease knows, but we're going to keep it rolling. Tease, if that's good for you, I'm going to keep it rolling. Then we'll move past that hot city in Philadelphia. We're going to talk about this Jazz and Pacers game next on the clock, next on the docket. Keeping it moving. Why did this thing just freeze back up again? Well, of course it is. It's a Wednesday. Why wouldn't it freeze up here? We got the Jazz and the Pacers. The Jazz open as +5 spots. They're now 6.5s out there, and 52% of the bets with 34% of the cash on this Jazz side of the house. And for me, I got to jump on these Jazz. I like the points. We'll talk about it in a minute. You can see it on the screen there. The total opened at 240.5. 71% of the bets and 55% of the cash, and we've seen that number climb now almost 2 points. So, when I see a situation like that, the public loves the over here, 71% of the bets. Some of that bigger money, though, might be coming in on that under. The Pacers, when they got Halliburton and they play a pace game, they're no pun intended. The Pacers have pace, and they find a way to get points on the board. The flip side of things is the Jazz, and I just would wonder if the Jazz can hang in there to contribute on the point side of the house. But going back to last year, the Jazz are 20-4 against the spread when they're on teams that average more than 15 fast break points a game. That's almost situated or situationally appropriate for the Pacers, who I just talked about like to play pace. And then you got a team in the Jazz that can match pace when they got that team that has 15 fast break points per game, 20-4 against the spread. They've covered their last 11 straight games when they're in that situation. So you got a 20-4 spot for the Pacers, covering 11 in a row. And another number I was looking at here is you got road dogs. When the road dog is longer than +3, right? So a bigger spread than +3, they're 27-2. They cover the spread by almost 10 points if it's the first 10 games of the season. So, kind of an early season factor out there where it's basically telling me Vegas doesn't know where to benchmark a team that's, kind of in a bad spot, right? The Pacers clearly are not in a great spot. The Jazz have been a team that's, I'm going to call them suspect, but we'll use the word suspect, I guess. I'll use that out there. I had them the other night in a spot with the Bulls. They did not get it done. We'll see if they can find a way to come through for me here. They were getting 4 points last game, and they lost by 17. So we're going to give them one more shot, and then we're going to put them on the shit list. If they can't come through for us, they go to the shit list. T says, Mike, I have to say, bro, I'm close to pulling the trigger on the Caps tonight. Well, hang tight. We're going to get to the NHL. We still got a little bit of time to go. Kushgod3112 says, I love the juice. Over 224.5. I'm laying it. We're going to keep rolling here. Game number 3 on the docket. We're going to talk a little bit about this Washington spot against Charlotte. Not an official play for me, but something I did want to point out. There's a couple of numbers that maybe help you guys make a decision one way or the other. Or maybe if you're on the fence as well, it keeps you off of it, depending on the side that you were looking at here. We started the line at +4. We've seen considerable movement on the Wizards side to +2.5 and even 2s out there. 45% of the bets, 84% of the cash on the Washington Wizards. And the books are responding and reacting appropriately here. The money line moved at +152 open, 16% of the bets, but 41% of the cash, taking that road dog, and the Wizards have moved it down to +118. And the total's pretty flat. It opened at 240. It's still 239.5, 64% of the bets and 54% of the cash on the over, kind of keeping it static or keeping it stand put. The one thought that I had here is, the line movement for me kept me off of making the Hornets an official play. The Hornets are 7-0 against the spread at home when the total's more than 229. So when there's a game that they're expecting points, the Hornets, they show up. They show up and they cover those spreads. And typically that's what you need on an over, right? When you've got a total that's going over, you need the dog to contribute to that over, not just roll over and get beat down. So, makes sense to me that the Hornets are 7-0, but at the end of the day, you've got kind of the line moving against the Hornets. And you got teams that are 1-5 and 2-4. So I just talked about not giving it all back today. If you had to make a play, if there was a gun to my head, the proverbial gun to my head, I would say, yeah, I'm going to take the Hornets in this spot. But I can ultimately not pull the trigger. I'm not going to do it tonight. Not taking them Hornets official, but they are certainly a lean for anybody else that is considering or does want to have action on that game. Again, I think there's other games on the card and a full college basketball slate to jump into. But let's talk about the game that everybody wants to look at here. It's the big one. It's the big one at the Garden, the basketball mecca, as they call it, Madison Square Garden. And you got Wembanyama making his first appearance, taking the road trip with them Spurs to the bright lights in the big city of New York and Madison Square Garden here. As far as the totals are concerned, we'll start there and then we'll jump in and talk a little bit more about this game itself. But Spurs opened up as a 9.5-point dog. Still 9.5s, 10s, depending on where you line shop out there. 68% of the bets and 68% of the cash on the Spurs as a road dog, a double-digit road dog. 224 was the opening. It's 223.5. 46% of the bets, 70% of the cash on that under. Very exciting to see this young man in the bright lights and on the big stage, but it's going to be a tough spot for San Antonio. I've got San Antonio in an 0-15 spot when they're 1 to 3 days of rest and they're not an 18-plus dog. So, they're a double-digit dog, but, they got that rest factor that goes into it. 10 points, not quite enough. It's a bad spot for them to cover this spread. Now, the Wemby factor is very much real. I recognize that could be the case. But for me, the lean here for this game was the total. I see the points. I see that the numbers and the public's trying to push in and the bigger bucks are trying to push in on that under, but we're not seeing it move. So it's kind of a, more or less a frozen spot here with 223.5. And check this out. When you have East teams that are facing West teams at home, the over is 29-2, and it goes over by almost 12 points. So East team versus West team, 29-2 to the over when they're facing a team that they lost to in the previous meeting. So big factor from a revenge situation. It tells me that the Knicks are going to show up here. They're not happy that they did lose previously to the Spurs. Although there are new faces, I think Wemby steps up to the challenge. I don't think he shies away from these bright lights. He's had, minus his first game of the career where he kind of was sub 15 points. He's produced over 19 every game on average beyond that. So not only that, but he's out there. He's contributing. He's really contributing on both sides of the court. He's had rebounds. He's gotten not so many in the assist category, but look, a spot that I liked in this thing, when you're looking at some of these props, there were 2 spots in the prop market that I added here as late minute leans. So I'm going to share them with you guys, and I'm probably going to get to the window on them here as well. But I wanted to share kind of my thoughts here. The block shot prop for this guy is over 2.5 at plus 145. Plus 145 on a 2.5. The guy's 7'4". I mean, do the logistics, do the math. That's a big dude. I mean, just putting his hand up in the air should be a block shot. So that was something I kind of looked at without really digging into it too much and looking at his overall performance. I just thought that was for a tall guy like that to get 2.5 block shots in the Garden. He's going to want to show up and show out. So that being said, I looked at the assist prop as well, and over 2.5 assist is also plus 145. You guys know I love those plus money spots. He had 4 assists in his last game. So he's trending in the assist side of things at the 2.5, but 2 or less each of the previous games before that. That was kind of more of a gut shot to say, here's a guy that knows that his team's going to potentially be behind. He's going to have to play hard. He's going to have to play both sides of the court. He's going to have to play aggressive. And I thought, maybe hooking up some of his teammates with the assist might be a look there as well. Nothing official for me, just some spots I wanted to share with you guys as well. And again, that lean to the over. I think this is a perfect spot for a young up-and-coming team with high draft picks. New York, when it comes to their teams, very much different than the city of Philadelphia, where they'll boo Santa Claus, right? But New York kind of shows love for the big stars, right? They get guys that'll show up, and the big names that are in New York City will show up, and they'll represent their Wemby gear, and they'll be all about it. And they're not going to be booing this young man out there, at least in my estimation here. So I think he shows up. I think it's a good spot for the Spurs, despite that 0-15 look, but I like that over more than anything as far as the plays are concerned. T says Randall gonna bill through Windy, I guess. Yeah, you'll see. What WIU plus 18.5 at SMU for Nunya. Is that Western Illinois? Is that who that is, Nunya? It's college season. I still have to transition my 3-letter college names here. T says, damn, y'all going to make me hit that over? Kush God says, bam, at Bayou, 6 rebounds. Bismack, 4 rebounds. Jazz, Pacers, over 224.5. Evan Mobley, 6 rebounds. Detroit, plus 24.5. Scotty Barnes, over 8.5 assists. Rebounds boosted on FanDuel, plus 112. 2-unit play. That's interesting. I thought about that. We'll talk about that when we get to the actual Toronto spot as well. But Scotty Barnes has been one hell of a player for Toronto. He's probably the only player playing for Toronto right now. It's kind of him against the world on that team. So interesting looks you have there as well. Thanks for sharing. Guys, make sure, again, put them in the chat. Love to talk about them. Love to read them aloud and share the looks with everybody. Let's all get to the window together. Onward and upward. We're going to keep the train rolling, baby. Next game we're going to talk about Big one here in the Miami Heat versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Them Grizz, baby. Them Grizz. And them Grizz coming off their first win of the season, right? So we got a line open at -1.5. Flip-flop now to a +1.5, and now I see a +2 out there as well. 67% of the bets and 63% of the cash on them Miami Heat. Taking them from a road dog to a favorite. It's a public dog on the road. Let's think about that. 223.5. We see the total opened at. Now it's 217.5 and 218.5 out there, depending on where you shop. 63% of the bets and 94% of the cash on the under. So interesting numbers there. You look at the total as well, or the money line. The money line open as an even money spot for the Heat. Now -120. Got to lay 20 cents of juice to get that buck back. And on the flip side of things, the Grizz opened up as -118. Now +112 spots on the money line. Big bets hitting away on this Miami side, not just on the Miami spread, but the Miami numbers as well. The money line. It always makes me kind of question things here a little bit. You got a team that, when you're seeing why is the money line moving as well as the spread? Like if you're a sharp bettor and you're hitting the -1.5, why are you messing with the -120? Unless it's limits. I guess there could be limits that make them kind of play both sides of things here. But look, I think it's a good spot for Memphis. Memphis is 15-0 going back to December of 2021 as a home dog of less than 9 points. So when they're in that small dog role, they're getting it done. They got that kind of monkey off the back, the old adage there with that recent win against Portland. Granted, it was the second leg of a back-to-back, but I just think Memphis, as a home dog, getting 6 points or less, are 11-3 straight up, 14-0 against the spread. So we talked about that number as a Niner. When that number shrinks even more, they're still showing a confidence factor, and they're winning the game by 16 points or covering the spread by 16 points. So to me, it's a Memphis. Give me the Memphis +2 spot here. The Heat just beat the Lakers. They haven't covered in 5 in a row. They had a recent game against the Bucks as well. So it's almost like, you're going on the road and you're coming into a Grizz spot where, they're certainly not scaring anybody, Memphis. They barely got that win that last game against that back-to-back with Portland. And now you got a Heat team that's kind of coming in here, potentially overlooking them, I think, here as well. So I like that Memphis +2. I'm actually going to add it as an official play. It was a lean. I'm pulling the trigger and moving it to the 2. You're moving a public dog on the road, and you're making them a favorite now. No way. I think Memphis wins this game. I think they're going to win this game comfortably. So I do like the 2, though. It's not enough of a risk-reward factor for me to mess around. Give me the extra bucket. Give me the home team as a dog with the advantage coming off that recent win, in my opinion, to move in the right direction. So I'm going to jump in there, and I'm going to add Memphis as an official play. I'll make sure to recap it at the end as well. Keeping her rolling. A lot of card to cover here. Trying to get it moving for you guys. Trying to keep things at a brisk pace. We've got a lot of games to get into, a lot of games to go over. Next on the docket, we're going to talk about this Detroit spot. Detroit and the Milwaukee Bucks. The line opened at -12.5. That's pretty much where it sits right now. But here's the thing, 37% of the bets and 89% of the cash sitting on that Detroit Pistons side of things. So I know there was some recent injury news out there, and I want to just see if I can't find it real quick and keep things rolling. Of course, I can't find it now, but that's okay. At the end of the day, for me, the spot that I was looking to in this game had a lot to do with the totals here. We got a 229, and we're seeing it now 228.5 and 227.5. Now, there's 77% of the bets and 71% of the cash on the over. For it to be dropping a point to a 1.5 is ultimately why I had to go to a lean spot here. When the Bucks haven't covered their last 2 games, or 2 non-covers in a row, they smoked that total the next game. It's 13-0 to the over. It's going over by 20 points. So there's something for me hard not to get my hands around there because, both these teams have been kind of over machines as of late too. The Bucks have 3 overs in their last 4 games. Detroit's gone over 3 times in a row. And yet this number is sitting at 227.5. I just ultimately couldn't pull the trigger. I want to get that. I want to get that total in play. I just couldn't get it done. Trans Canada says, Pimp, I stayed at the Bags house one time and all he had in the fridge was beer. And when I opened the cupboards, there was more booze. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. That's kind of what it sounds like in my house, except no beer. Plenty of vodka, though. Plenty of vodka and plenty of whiskey. So Deshaun G likes the Kings. Michael Nyes, anytime goal plus 330. The Leafs, the under 45 in the Toledo game. And Syracuse minus 13 and the over 152 on the hardwood there. I could see that. I appreciate that. Perky Sanderson says FAU money line and Bowling Green money line. Super underpants parlay max play. All right. Fat Cat Ninja says taken the under 228.5 in that Detroit-Milwaukee game. Okay. Fat Cat, I don't know if that's not the play for me, but I could see why you get there. Ultimately, with that line movement or not moving, it's enough for me to feel I could certainly understand where you're coming from. Kelly V says Milwaukee 9-1 straight up versus Detroit. Leaning Bucks spread first half. Can't trust them full game. Keep changing lineups. I agree. They're still trying to figure out that chemistry out there and trying to get the boys right. So it's gonna be a lean for me on the over, but we'll keep it rolling. Next game on the docket. Oh, there goes an ice cube. Next game on the docket we're going to talk about here. Another big one here. Lakers and the Rockets. Line open at 4.5, and that's pretty much where it sits. There's a couple 3.5s out there, depending on the side you want to play on. Keep that in mind. But latest news we have, 43% of the bets, 85% of the cash on the Rocket side of things. We're not seeing any movement in that number, so that's kind of a concern. But the total at 221.5 is now 220.5. So we are seeing a little bit of downward tick here. We're seeing a little downward movement by a point against the original opening number on the spread. We got 73% of the bets and 69% of the cash on the over. And it's falling. So it's kind of a red flag for me right there. The Lakers money line did open at minus 200, is down to minus 170 with 88% of the bets and 89% of the cash. That's kind of what I was talking about when I was asking about that previous game there, the Memphis game with the numbers. Why are they hitting both sides of things? I would expect more of that type of a line reaction, when it comes to a bigger move rather than the smaller move when it comes to the actual money line itself. But look, I like Houston in this spot. I locked down Houston as an official play for me. Away favorites early in the season, 1-25 against the spread if they lost the previous two meetings, or if they're a dog on average of 2 points or more over the course of the season, as a dog of 2 points or more. I got to read my writing better here, but 1-25 spot. If they lost the previous two meetings and their opponent's been a dog of 2 points or more on average throughout the season. So that very much covers the Rockets as a buy-on spot. It's a sell spot for them Lakers as they are an away favorite. It's early in the season. It's a 1-25 spot for you guys. Also, another look that I had here, another interesting thought was around this under. So road favorites that are up to a minus 10. Right? So Lakers minus 3.5, minus 4.5. A road favorite up to minus 10 are 22-1-1 to the under, going under by 12 points if it's early in the season versus a conference opponent that they were favored by more than 10 the previous time they played. So when they go against a team that they beat up the last time or were big favorites against, as long as they're not a huge favorite this time, the under is very much in play. But the number just concerns me. It's so low, and maybe that's why it's low, right? At 220.5, it's low for a reason. You got all that cash hitting the over, and the under seems to be kind of standing through and standing out. So there's 220.5s out there. Line shop appropriately if you're thinking about that under. I can't blame you. I'm on the Houston side at plus 4.5. I just like to me the home dog in a situation where they got the Lakers coming to town. That's a young team that's fired up and ready to go. So at the end of the day, I got to jump in there and take advantage of that spot here. Give me the 4.5 points. I mean, that's two plus possessions to finish this game off, and a game that I think they're going to be competitive with. Look, LeBron looks old out there, man. When he's out there on the court, I know he's a tremendous athlete and he manages, his regimen appropriately. But I was watching him that last game, man. It looked like he was struggling to get around the court. So is he going to be the guy that jumps up, or is it going to be Anthony Day-to-Day Davis that's going to get it done? I just don't think so. I like that Houston spot here. But I see Director 90 says, Pimp Slap, did you talk about the Raptors versus Mavericks game? Who do you like? I missed it. Oh, we did not talk about it yet. As a matter of fact, it's going to come. You look on the right-hand side of the screen. It's going to be there. Next game, we're going to talk about it as well. But Londo says he's on Houston first half. Rockets have been cashing the first half. I like that first half look. I think I heard, was it LJ from H-Town there was on that first half as well. I like that play quite a bit. Don Play says LeBron just playing Billy ball now. Yeah. Bully ball. Yeah. I agree. He's not what he was, but he's still better than most, right? So T says Christian Wood points tonight, coming back to Houston motivation spot. I like that angle, T. That's something I didn't consider out there. Don Play says thinking of the Rockets first half. The Lakers don't have a bench to keep up. I don't think that's kind of why I went with the full game. For me personally, I think there's that gas out factor, and Anthony Davis could sprain his thumb in the locker room at halftime and not come back. I don't know. It just Anthony Davis. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't take much for Anthony Davis to not come back into a game. So that's kind of what I was thinking there. But Kelly V says Lakers 8-2 straight up versus Houston. That's an interesting number. Minnesota -3 teaser in the NBA. Milwaukee. Oh, we covered that as well already. All right, we're going to keep it rolling here. Try to give you guys that shout out in the chat. Make sure that we hear your plays as well. But we are going to talk about this next game on the docket is the Raptors versus the Mavericks here. And quite an interesting spot, as I kind of started breaking this game down. Now, I do have an official play in this thing. You can see it on the screen. But, we'll start off here at Raptors is a +6 opening number, down to 5.5s, but line shop. Because depending on if you're looking for a side, there's 4s out there right now. So that's a pretty considerable movement. You've got 50% of the bets and 76% of the cash on the Raptors side of things. Again, that road dog, that public road dog. But I don't know how public they are because it's really a 50-50 split on the bets. Generally speaking, the bets kind of represent the public because it's a mix-up of all the tickets too. It's not just the money line, but it's teasers, it's parlays, it's the whole smash that kind of goes into that bets category. It's the cash to me when you see the number at 76 that says bigger bettors are betting on the Raptor side of things. So the public dog factor may or may not be relevant here. I see the 6. I see it now 5.5 and 4s. Now 75% of cash on the Raptor side of things. So a little bit of light movement there on the Mavericks. The total open at 221.5. There's 227s out there right now. 66% of the bets, but 46% of the cash on the under. So again, a situation where the public's banging away on this under. But some of the bigger money or more of a coin flip is sitting there on that over. So for me, it's an under spot here. Couple of thoughts around this under. When you've got a team that's played an opponent that's shot 48% or more 3 games in a row, that 4th game is an under. It's 11 times out of 12 to the under. So it's an 11-1 under spot, and they're going under by 8.2 points. So when you got a team that's shooting well, 48% or better, and they've done it 3 times in a row as the Mavericks have faced, then they find a way to play that defensive ball and rebound up. And in fact, the rebound number goes up 1.5 points in situations like that as well. So if you're looking for some player props, I would consider those rebounds. When it comes to that situation, again, this is a turnover factor too. For me, this kind of contributes to the under. And when you've got a team that averages 12.4 turnovers a game on the road, which is the Toronto Raptors, 12.4 turnovers, that's the lowest in the NBA. On the flip side of things, you got the Mavericks averaging or forcing 13.5 turnovers a game at home. That's 6th lowest in the NBA. So I think these guys hang on to the ball. I don't think we see fast breaks and turnaround spots here. I think for me, this under is 227. It's an official play for me. 3 games when your opponent is shooting 48% or better. You're 11-1 to the under. I'm going to take that under. I'm going to rock that thing down, and I'm going to keep it rolling. Onward and upward we go. We've got 1 game left to talk about in the NBA. Plenty of time to get through the rest of the plays that we have out there as well. NHL and college football, we certainly want to make sure that we cover the big bases, and I've got 1 look for you guys in college basketball as well. Next game on the docket we're going to talk about is the Trailblazers versus the Sacramento Kings. I kind of had looks of galore on this thing here, and I had to kind of peel it back because I'm trying to keep just a tight card tonight. I don't want to have, ultimately I'm going to end up having a lot of plays anyways, but I don't want to be north of 20 tonight, and I had to pull it back because it seems like when I look at these NBA cards, everything looks good. I just got to make sure that I keep focused on the big picture here. So the Trailblazers open at a +8. Line shop, there's 7.5s and 8.5s out there, but 8 seems to be the median number. 46% of the bets and 65% of the cash on that Portland Trailblazers side. And yet we're not seeing any movement. The total itself, 223.5 was the opening number. Now we're seeing 221.5s out there, even 221s. 63% of the bets on the over, 66% of the cash on the over. And we're seeing that numbers drop 2 points from the original opening spot. So that's where I'm going with this game here is I'm going with that under. I got the under at 222 earlier. Let me see. 221.5 is the best number I can get out there. I want to keep it legit. If I'm giving it to you guys, it's got to be the right number. And it's now 221.5. So that's okay. I'll take 221.5. We'll make sure to update that and keep it official, updating it as we speak. At the end of the day, as I kind of looked at this game here, first and foremost, when either team has the rest and coming off of a loss on the road as a favorite, they're 30-2 to the under. So very much falls into line with that spot when it comes to the Trailblazers themselves and the Sacramento Kings here. The Blazers being on the road As a loss, as a road favorite, 30-2 to the under, facing a conference opponent. So in this case here, though, what I looked at with the King side of things is a 10-0 spot for the Kings. 10-0 after they've got 2 non-covers in a row. So we talked earlier, this is another one that I picked up from one of my boys earlier today, that non-cover factors after back-to-back non-covers. The Kings are 10-0 and they're covering by 12 points on average. So Kings -7 was a lean for me because I thought the bigger number for me was the under. The under at 221.5. Not all, but focus, primarily on that line movement. The fact that we're seeing the cash coming in on the over, the line's dropping, and I shared that 30-2 spot to the under with you guys. I had to jump in there and take advantage of that under. Portland, back-to-back Memphis games, they had totals of 218.5 and 219.5. I flipped those around. The first game was 219.5. The second game, they expected a lower number of 218.5, and we saw them get there on those lower numbers. It seems like the average for Portland, just a quick glance on the screen, was around 216 are the totals that they have out there. So they're expecting them to be a slower, lower-paced team. On the flip side of things, the Kings are averaging around 232, which kind of seems to be around that league standard spot as far as totals for games. And for this number to be 222, 221.5, I kind of think they're tipping their hand. They're showing us something. They're showing us they think this game's going to be a lower paced game. And I agree. So official play for me to cap off the NBA card is going to be that under. Under 221.5 is now the official number that we've got out there. We're going to keep it rolling. Next up for us, we're going to skate on over to the ice. We're going to talk a little bit about the National Hockey League. Just 3 games in play tonight, but it's been a tremendous national hockey season, and I want to make sure that we talk about these games, at least in some high-level detail. You guys know I look at these goaltenders. I look at the goaltenders much like I look at pitchers in baseball. And on this side of things here, we've got Forsberg at 2-2 for Ottawa, and we got Wall in net at 4-3 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Wall kind of took a little detour. He had a little break. He was struggling. He was stinking it up. He didn't come out as strong as he was with his 2-3 goals against average and 93 save percentage. He was pulled for Samsonov. So ultimately, at the end of the day, they're giving him another shot to go back in there because Samsonov kind of struggled as well in that Tampa Bay spot out there right off the cuff. Wall comes in, he gets 18 of 19 saves on the day. They end up winning the game in overtime. So he's kind of re-earned his position or put himself back in there. But before that game, before he came in relief, 9 goals on 67 shots prior to that. So not a spot that kid wanted to be at, and I think he's going to be relieved and happy to have his play back in the pipes tonight. I see that guy Nick out there, Aero Sports Bet, says he likes the under 7.5. Yeah, I joined at the right time. You did today. Today we're hockey in the middle of the pack here. So, for me, this is just a straight lean spot. I lean to Toronto. I wish I had some great numbers or some, the trends are really tough when there's only 3 games out there. I like the home team in Toronto. I think Wool's got the motivated spot to get his position back in the pipes and play better than he has. Do I want to lay -152 for it? And I've even seen 160s and 170s. I don't. But I would certainly consider using it as a parlay piece. Maybe I would parlay that with, maybe like the Bucks money line or something like that and make it a plus money spot. So I would consider that, but I just didn't want to get there. I couldn't pull the trigger. I didn't want to get involved with the total. I can see these games going over. Ottawa-Toronto games seem like they're a coin flip as far as what's going to happen, and it comes to the results of the game itself. The question is going to be, is Forsberg able to stand on his head and deliver? He's got a 3-4 goals against average and an 86.3 save percentage. I don't think so. I don't think he's the answer. But stranger things have happened. It's just not a game I want to get involved with. So we're going to move on to the next game. We're going to talk a little bit about this Florida Panthers, Washington Capitals, and this is a game I want to get involved with. In fact, this is my I'm going to say it's my favorite spot on the card. I want to be selective with where I say that because, it certainly means a lot when I drop it out there. I know some of you guys have texted me and said, hey, that was a great spot with your favorite out there. And for me tonight, you got SpongeBob Rovsky at 5-3-1 versus Kemper at 3-3-1. SpongeBob's got a 2.68 goals against average, 90.4 save percentage. Kemper on the other side with a 2.94 goals against average, 89.9 save percentage. And this is a Florida spot for me all day long. Couple factors in here. First of all, when it comes to the goaltending advantage, clearly I think SpongeBob is the example. 4 goals on 22 shots his last game. Not where he wants to be, but every time he goes sub 90% the previous game, he comes back at 95 or stronger in save percentage. Washington, I already talked about. Washington ranks 31st in offense in the NHL. 1.9 goals for. So you got a goalie that's going to play well in a bounce back position. And, oh, by the way, road favorites. Here's a big sample size for you guys. Road favorites, when they're playing a team that's got a win percentage of 40% or more, 2,239 wins, 1,474 losses. Huge sample index showing that this road favorite in the Florida Panthers is the right spot. I think their goaltender in the bounce back position. He is showing that he bounces back after a bad start. Kemper's just having a poor season. 3 goals on 21 shots his last game. Florida's been taking points in their games as well. So Florida's got 5 points in their last 6 games for me. I would jump in and take that Florida Panthers spot. To me, that's my favorite spot on the card tonight. So, I don't think highly of that situation with Washington to begin with. I think they're just too old. It's the old Vitor, making sure this guy gets his goals and sets that league record. And they want a new face in there besides Wayne Gretzky. So they're going to continue to trot him out there. They're going to give him way too much ice time, way too many minutes, way too many looks on special teams. And whenever you have a separate agenda that's not just go out there and win the game, I don't think it's a good spot. So, it is what it is. But Kelly V says Florida 8-2 straight up versus the Caps. That's a big factor for me when it came to considering these guys as well. They have the history and track record, even when it came to the older Washington teams that were playing, competitively and strong. But Florida's kind of turned the page now, and they're kind of that front runner, in my opinion, when it comes to the Eastern Conference in the NHL. Nunya says your picks are amazing. Yeah, hey, appreciate that, man. Tail Winnipeg, the Canes, Penguins, parlay. That's what it's all about, dude. We're here to get that cash, try to share with you guys them spots. I see Kelly V says, second period, both teams to score 2 Vegas game, plus 110. That's an interesting look there with the second period, both teams to score. It's hit 3 of 4 times, she says, and the second period, both teams to score in the Toronto game at minus 103. So a couple of interesting looks there. I'm going to keep that in mind when it comes to live betting. We'll jump in. We got the third game on the docket. We want to make sure we cover college football as well. That sport's been hot for us too. We're going to cap this game off here. We're going to look at the LA Kings Vegas night spot here. And I'm not trying to split the atom here. I'm not trying to reinvent, this opportunity. This is a situation where this should be a really good game. I wanted to say it's going to be my favorite game. It's not necessarily my favorite spot. And what I like about this game here is you got Talbot in net with the Kings, right? 6-2-1, coming off a shutout game. You got Aiden Hill in net on the other side, 6-0-1, coming off a shutout game. It should be a lot of fun. Now, I discount the Kings shutout. Why? Because that shutout was against the Flyers. So, 4-0-1 though in his last 5 games is pretty remarkable. Maybe a sense of false confidence with shutting out them Flyers because, we saw the Flyers lose last night to the San Jose Sharks. Look, this is another travel spot. This is an interesting travel spot for me in this spot because you've got the Kings now on the road for their 4th game in a row. So you got 4 straight road games. Whereas on the other side of things, you got Vegas at home feeling comfortable. And what happens? Idle minds, right? You got guys in Vegas on an extended break or on a break after being travel spots. They're trying to give them a day's rest, and you put them in Vegas. So the question is going to become, is the Vegas flu real? It's a big spot that's out there. A lot of people have talked about it in years past. It used to be an official stat that I tracked was how do they do when they're sitting around in Vegas? And it was not good. It was not positive. Look, Hill coming off of 41 saves his last game. Like I said, that was his first shutout. But what happened is I think it's a bounce back spot because Thompson's the other guy that plays goaltender for Vegas. And what happened his last start? He gave them their first regulation loss of the season. So I think it's a motivated home Vegas spot here. They're better goaltender at 1.81 goals against average, 93.8 save percentage. Yeah, the Kings goalie and Talbot should be good. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to consider the under in this game. Although what I would be concerned about is do we see a 3-3 like end of the second period, then there's no scoring in the third period as a conference game, and then they go into overtime and your 6.5 is cooked. So for me, though, I like this Vegas spot here. I think it's a good motivated team with their best goalie in net to get that bounce back spot. Not Thompson's fault necessarily that they lost the game, but he's the guy that takes the L as the goaltender. So I like Kelly V's look there too with the second period, both teams to score. That kind of leads me to that. Is it potentially a 3-3 going into the third period type of situation? So we got 2 great goaltenders coming off of positions where they should be motivated to get their team the W. I just think the home team is going to be too much for them. They don't have any home losses yet this season as well. And I think that's a big factor. There's Tarek B says, Mike, thanks for all your picks yesterday. Hey, man, if they could all be that well, right? Well, we wouldn't need to do anything else. So we'll see how that goes. But That's it for me. I like the Kings, or I'm sorry, I like the Vegas Golden Knights in this spot here. I think it's a Vegas flu situation, and I think that we're going to see the stronger goaltender and Aiden Hill prevail at 6-0-1. No home losses, coming off their first regulation loss of the season. I think they're just motivated, and I think it's a bad travel spot for the Kings. So we'll go onward and upward here. I want to talk about college football. There's 3 games. I want to keep it short and sweet. Try to get right to the point for you guys. Let me transition over. Again, take note because I put these sides and totals as far as the spreads and percentages on the splits together a couple hours in advance. So as I give you guys the latest numbers, that's what this is about. If you see the numbers are different on the screen than what I'm sharing off to you, those are some things that you want to kind of take into consideration. So we've got Bowling Green at Kent State, the first game on the docket. We have Bowling Green open up at 6.5. Now 10.5 and 11s are out there. 73% of the bets, 57% of the cash on Bowling Green. And then we look at the total, open at 38, up to 41, even 41.5s out there. We have 75% of the bets and 76% of the cash think this game's going to go under. Yet we're seeing that move up a couple of points from the original opening spot. So, we talked yesterday about the MAC teams and the trends there with the MAC teams where when they played the previous year and the total went over by 9 or more points that the next games were going under, we kind of have a flip scenario here in this case. When they played last year and the total went under, it goes over, and it's over 14-3-1 to a tune of about 8 points a game. Also, you look at MAC teams before week 13 when they're when the favorite wins minus the opponent's wins are greater than 0. So this is one of those algebra type of equations. When their favorite wins and their opponent's wins are greater than 0, it's 39-19 to the over, and it's going over by 6.4 points. Also, the last played opponent situation when that's a home loss and now they're on the road. That's gone over 51 and 24 times as well. So lots of trends for me to look at the angles when it comes to the overs. I see people on the unders. I get it, especially watching those unders yesterday. But look, these defenses, they're just not good. You play bad teams and you're a bad team. So, in this case here, we've got defenses that aren't world beaters. We've got offenses that are prone to turnover, which could create short fields, but that's just going to be careless and sloppy play, in my opinion. It's going to be a spot where, they carelessly hand off the ball to the running back. And, what happens is, K-State looks to run, they go to hand it off. There's a miscommunication and it's a slip and it's a fumble and it's a short field possession. So I like the over 40. Let me line shop this and see what the current number is. Make sure I give you guys the greatest spot out there. Over. And we've got 41 now. So another movement. Maybe I should start tweeting some of these out if I feel like these lines are going to move. So I like that movement. Movement correlates with me. I'm not going to be concerned about a point. I talked to you guys about that total situation going over by 8. But look, Kent State's got no defensive front. They shouldn't have any. They're going to pose problems to stop the ball from being moved down the field. They're not going to put any pressure on the quarterback. The only challenge for me is Bowling Green runs a really slow pace. So certainly some areas of concern. I think that's why we see the low number to begin with. I didn't want to drop that big spread at -11, but I'll take the over on the 41. I'll feel comfortable enough with that over to go with it and roll on to the next spot. So there we go with that Bowling Green game. Akron, Miami, Ohio is the next game that we're going to talk about here. We got 3 of them tonight. We got to look and a play on all of them. So Akron, Ohio, Miami of Ohio, the Miami of Ohio, as some would say. And what we've got here is we've got the number open at 17. We've got 17.5s that are out there now. 21. Come on, computer. 25% of the bets and 27% of the cash on Akron. So everybody likes this Miami, Ohio spot, and so do I. At the end of the day, I just talked to you guys about the overs. All 3 of these games. It's funny how yesterday's games all kind of correlated with those unders based on the previous year's play. And all 3 of today's games kind of correlate to the overs. So if you like scoring, I think tonight's the night we're going to see it when it comes to the MAC. But for me in this spot here, I had to lock down Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio's 10-0 against the spread as a favorite of more than 7 and less than 20. So when they're in that sweet spot there of over a touchdown but less than 3 touchdowns, they're 10-0 against the spread. So I like that spot quite a bit here. I think it's just a good spot. Schematically, I don't think Akron's going to match up very well with this team at all. Miami, Ohio's got a strong defense. They also have a run-first approach this year, which is a lot different from years past. And Akron just doesn't tackle very well. They don't do a lot well on defense at all. And I think this is a situation where, Miami, Ohio is going to start early with this game. They're going to have the advantage. They're going to continue. We talked about this before. When you've got these teams that play head-to-head and one of them's got a confidence factor on the ground, it starts to wear down that team in the second half. You start to see bigger runs. You don't see the 2 and 3 yard gains. You see the 7 and 10 yard gains or breaking off 20 more. So I think that's a big factor here for this game here. I think it's a mismatch spot, Miami, Ohio. Now, Miami, Ohio, is virtually locked in to get the conference opportunity here to play in the championship game. But I still think they're just a better team overall. They're 4-0 against the spread as a favorite this year. And the Zips, when Akron's a dog, they're 2 and 3 against the spread. Miami's won 5 straight in the rivalry between these two teams, and they're outscoring the shit out of these boys, 161-71. So, trend factors, spread factors, what Miami of Ohio does when they're in this situation with a line between 7 and 20 points. Way too many factors for me to point to that Miami, Ohio spot. And it looks like the public and the cash both agree. We roll on. We're going to get down to the next spot. It's the last spot on the card for me. And it's the last game in college football as well. Shout out, I see our guy, Razor Sharps out there. Appreciate you dropping in, Razor. Thank you, my guy. Nice to see you. Arthur Meade Jr. Still talking about them Phillies. It is what it is. We're on our way. We're gonna get them. We're gonna get them next season, but we still have about 11 months to go. So we got plenty of time to wait for that Philly spot to get going here. Last spot on the card for me. We're in Eastern Michigan versus Toledo, and you'll see right off the top here in the hop. I'm on the favorite in this game as well. Not too concerned about these big numbers tonight. I saw some of the spots out there. 80% of the cash, 80% of the bets. 69% of the cash on Eastern Michigan. And we see the numbers move 2 points from the original opening. Short, sweet, and to the point. Toledo action. So when Toledo's playing on the Tuesday or Wednesday night games and the line's greater than 10, they're 4-2 against the spread. Furthermore, Toledo, when they're covering a line specifically between 10 and 20 points, they're 23-12 against the spread. Toledo's just made to be a strong game opponent out there. And I think that continues tonight. They cover big spreads. They're not concerned about covering big spreads. They're going out there and they're handling everybody. You got an 8-1 Toledo team that's got a lot to play for to get themselves into that championship game. On the flip side of things, you got Eastern Michigan, whose season is, we'll say it's pretty much over. I mean, they're cooked. They don't really have maybe they get a bowl game if they win a couple of shit games here at the end, but I don't see it. They got beat down by Western Michigan as a 3-point dog. They covered against Northern Illinois, but Northern Illinois is kind of a shit school anyways. Kent State, they won 28-14. They did cover that spread, but I just think that Western Michigan game for Eastern Michigan was a directional spot that we kind of saw who their true colors were. And on the flip side of things, Toledo comfortably handled Buffalo 31-13. We know Buffalo's offense isn't great, but they still got it done. They still got the job done. They went on the road and they beat that Miami, Ohio team that I just talked about. So 21-17 is a 2-point favorite. They were able to get that job done. Ball State, they did win against Ball State, but Ball State's been playing teams tough here. I'm going to discount that non-cover factor at 17.5 points. They won the game. Ball State's been a tough team, and then they beat the brakes off of UMass before that as well. So I just think Toledo's the right spot in this year. We see the number moving in their direction. We see the actions going the other way. The public feels too many points. Not me tonight. I'm going to step into it. I'm going to embrace those points at minus 19.5. I expect it to be sweaty in the first half. I think this team will put the bus in gear in the second half. And the last play I'm going to give you guys, we don't have any markup for it, but we're a couple minutes to 7 o'clock here. Look, I took Arizona State. I double dipped Arizona State +2 and +4 for me. Arizona State first half +2, Arizona State +4 full game. Don't have a lot of time to give you guys the reason behind it. It's just a spot that I like based on who I think that team is and who they were last year. So, they're playing in a spot where a lot of people are thinking it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm not mad about that lower scoring spot, but I wanted to share that Arizona State with you guys because I did not have any college basketball on here, although we had a great night with college basketball last night. Giving you guys the recap here: 76ers +3, the Jazz +6.5, the Memphis Grizzlies +2, Houston +4.5. A lot of dogs for me in this spot here. Dallas under 227, Sacramento Kings under 221. Official spots for me. The Florida Panthers official spot. The Vegas Golden Knights an official spot. I'm on the Bowling Green over, and the number's now 41. I still like it at 41. I've got Miami, Ohio at -17. And I've got Toledo at minus 19.5. Arizona State and college hoops is my last game, you guys. I appreciate everybody dropping in here. We got it in 59 minutes. Get you guys a couple of minutes to get those plays in. Be mindful of those 7:05 starts. That Toronto game is about to pop off. College basketball starts pretty much right at 7. So make sure if you're going to get in there at 7 o'clock window and play some of those games, you do it appropriately. Thank everybody for dropping in here. Arthur Meade Jr. says he's taking a shot with the Eastern Michigan team total over 13.5. Kelly D says the Cavs OKC rematch, loves the under in that game. Kind of was leaning to the over because those teams in their pace, but that's an interesting look, Kelly. We'll have to keep our eyes on that one. Arthur Meade says he understands Razor. Kelly D says one of those big football favorites ain't covering like Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan plus 19. I don't know if you watched the Eastern Michigan games, Kelly, but they're a tough team. They're a tough team to watch. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Appreciate everybody again. Razor Sharp showing up. My guy dropping in here, giving us his love in the chat. Nanya, Tease, Mac, under question mark. Who says that? I said it yesterday, Tease, and we certainly got there. Justin M says Miami, Ohio, under 39.5. Kelly D says windy, 16 miles an hour. Akron, Miami, Ohio. Teasing the under. I can't be mad at that. I kind of like that thought process there. Tease that under, get an extra almost touchdown on the spot here. And Earl Sports shared his play out here. He says only NCAA football play. Uh-oh. He's on Miami, Ohio, minus 18. All right, Nick Earl, let's go, buddy. Let's get that cash. Deshaun G. Nunya. Appreciate everybody dropping. If you haven't done so already, take a second before you check out of here. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the like button for me on the YouTube video. Make sure you guys share your spots in here in the chat. Throw the comments in YouTube. Tell me what you guys are on as well. We'll try to recognize and shout you guys out to start the next show as well. Appreciate everybody dropping in tonight. You guys know what the deal is. Pub Sports Radio. It's last call. Looking to run back a big banger. Bet appropriately. We had a huge night last night at 12-1. We don't want to give that stuff back. We want to make sure that we find those right spots and we execute on them. So I hope you guys have a great night. You get that cash. Appreciate everybody dropping in. Appreciate Pub Sports for the opportunity. Let's go to the window. I will see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time, 6 p.m. Last call. We be pumping!